Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Victor, would you lead us in prayer, please?
Yes. Father God in heaven, we thank you for this wonderful day that you allowed us to be in today. We thank you for everything that you're doing in the city. We thank you for everybody that's here tonight. Lord, we ask for your perfect wisdom for us. In the mighty name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Nina, roll call, please.
Counselor Bradshaw,
Here.
Counselor Segala,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Howard,
Here.
Mayor Becker.
Here.
Counselor Naranjo has called in and has been excused for this evening, but a quorum has been declared.
We got modifications to the agenda.
Yes, sir, we have one modification to the agenda. If we could please add Terry Carroll to be appointed to the URA.
What was it?
Make the motion
Terry Carroll.
to have Terry Carroll added to what would it be, F5
Appointment to the
URA
URA
on F5?
added, yes. For F5.
Well, second.
Been moved and seconded to add under F, add F5 to appoint Terry Carroll to the URA board. Any discussion? Unita?
Counselor Bradshaw,
Yes.
Counselor Segala,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Howard,
Yes.
Mayor Becker.
Yes.
Motion carries to modify the agenda to add F5, appointing Terry Carroll to the URA.
Approval of consent agenda from the minutes of regular meeting of January 15th, 2026, and review and approval of accounts payable.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda for the minutes of the regular meeting from January 15th, 2026, and review and approval of accounts payable. Is there any discussion? Anita?
Counselor Bradshaw,
Yes.
Counselor Segala,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Howard,
Yes.
Mayor Becker.
Aye.
Motion carries to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, so we'll move on to the proclamations, communications, and appointments. The first one will be appointment of Monte Vista to the URA board.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So bear with me, I have letters to read to this. So the first one is to whom it may concern. I recently found out about the opening on the URA board, and I'm interested in serving on this board. I have a deep love for the community of Monte Vista and supporting the community both in its improvements as well as to lay the groundwork for the future growth. In reading the mission, I found it compelling, and it resonated with me and the desires I have for our community. The highway corridor, and mostly importantly, the core of our downtown area. There is a significant potential here, and with the continued work of the URA, the community could blossom into a gem in the San Luis Valley. With my background, I believe I can help in providing strategic direction for the organization as a board member. I am currently on several other boards trying to help our community and have served on numerous boards in the past, focusing on community and educational improvement across Southern Colorado. I am familiar with diligence and leadership needing to efficiently serve on a board. I have had the opportunity to interact with staff, and I believe that they are working hard to improve our community. I look forward to contributing as a volunteer in any way I am able to support their vital mission. I live inside the city limits of Monte Vista and have for over 15 years. I am also employed in the community as a transportation specialist with the Mountain Valley Logistics. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Sincerely, Monte Vista. We would like for you to appoint Monte Vista to the URA. and he is here if you have any questions.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Monty Shove to the URA.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to appoint Monty Schoaf to the URA board. Is there any discussion?
I got this big list of questions.
He showed up at the meeting and he had a lot of questions, so.
Oh, yeah. It's a big deal.
You need it?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay.
Thank you, Monty.
Okay,
Appointment
next
of
one.
Cheryl Smith to the URA board.
Dear members of the Monte Vista City Council, I am writing formally to express my interest in serving on the Monte Vista Urban Renewal Authority. As a committed member of our community, I am passionate about supporting thoughtful growth, revitalization, and helping ensure Monte Vista remains a thriving place for families and business. Through my involvement in the community, I have gained a strong appreciation for the challenges and opportunities our city faces. I value collaboration, transparency, and responsible decision-making, and I am eager to contribute my time, perspective, and work ethic to serve in our residents. I believe my experience, dedication, and genuine care for Monte Vista would allow me to be a positive and productive member of the URA. I am committed to listen to the community voices, working toward improving our neighborhoods, public infrastructure, and amenities by assisting in making decisions that reflect the best interests of our city now and in the future. Thank you for time and consideration. I would be honored to further discuss my interests and qualifications to serve on this community in this role. Cheryl Smith.
I make a motion to appoint Cheryl Smith to the Urban Renewal Authority.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to appoint Cheryl Smith to the URA board. Is there any discussion? Unita?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you.
Okay, we'll do the appointment of Justin Pepper to planning and zoning.
Mayor Becker and members of City Council. Today I wrote this letter requesting the opportunity to serve an additional term to the Monte Vista Planning and Zoning Commission. I have served 4 years. I am committed to the growth and development of our wonderful community. During my tenure, we as commissioners have worked on a number of projects, including an update to the Land Use Development Code. As we near the conclusion of this update, I believe that it is important to maintain continuity in the commission. The work underway will shape Monte Vista's growth and development for years to come. I am committed to ensure its finalization throughout thoughtfully and responsibly. I am excited about continuing to work with my colleagues, staff, and city residents to address upcoming challenges, including but not limited to affordable housing, new infrastructure. Balanced planning is essential for a successful future in Monte Vista. Thanks in advance for your consideration. Justin Pepper.
Move to appoint Justin Pepper to planning and zoning.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded to appoint Justin Pepper to planning and zoning. Is there any discussion? Nita?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you.
Okay, appointment of Damian Ariano to planning and zoning.
Dear Mayor Becker, I am writing to respectfully express my interest in continuing to serve on the Planning and Zoning Committee for an additional term. It has been an honor to contribute to the thoughtful development and responsible planning of our community, and I remain committed to support the committee's mission and long-term goals. During my current term, I have valued the opportunity to engage with residents, review development proposals, and collaborate with fellow committee members to ensure decisions reflect both current needs and future growth. I believe that my experience, understanding of local priorities, and dedication to balanced planning will allow me to continue making meaningful contributions in the upcoming term. I am grateful for the trust placed in me thus far and would welcome the opportunity to continue serving. Thank you for your consideration. Please feel free to contact me for any additional information that is needed. Sincerely, Damian Ariano.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Damian Ariano to Planning and Zoning Committee.
Second that.
It's been moved and seconded to appoint Damian Ariano to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Is there any discussion? I had a chance to visit with him at the Ag Conference. And very positive upbeat about what's been happening. So, and he really excited him to work with that group. So that's all I have for you. Anita?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
All right, now we'll move on to appointment of Terry Carroll to the URA board.
Dear members of the Urban Renewal Authority Board and the City Council of Monte Vista, I am writing to formally express my interest in serving on the Monte Vista Urban Renewal Authority Board. I am humbled to have been invited to consider this opportunity and appreciate the confidence you have shown in my experience and my perspective. As a former financial advisor and accountant, I bring a strong background in financial oversight, strategic planning, and community-centered development, both for individuals and business. Currently, I am the president and operator of Genesis Wellspring Ltd., a private natural healing practice and retail storefront, and Genesis Connection Ltd., which is a nonprofit which focuses on personal and planetarian health, community education, and growth. We and our organizations have rooted in the San Luis Valley and are guided by faith-informed community and stewardship, carrying responsibility for resources, people, and places entrusted to us for the benefit of both present and future generations. I am practically drawn to the mission of the Urban Renewal Authority because of its responsibilities to steward public resources wisely while encouraging thoughtful revitalization. I believe effective urban renewal honors both economic vitality and human dignity, balancing growth with respect for local character, small businesses, and long-standing community members. My approach to service is shaped by the belief that leadership is ultimately an act of service. If appointed, I would seek to contribute with humility, integrity, and discernment, listening carefully, engaging collaboratively, and applying sound financial principles to support decisions that promote long-term community well-being. Thank you for considering my letter of intent. Terry Carroll.
I make a motion to appoint Terry Carroll to the Urban Renewal Authority.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to appoint Terry Carroll to the URA board. Any discussion? Anita?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you very much. And this actually fills both of our boards, so we appreciate that.
Good. We didn't scare anybody off the other night, so that's a plus.
That's one.
Citizen comments and special presentation. Citizen comments. City Council welcomes your unscheduled comments. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes, and council will not take action at this same meeting.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, everyone. Happy to be here as always. And I really am just driving around town. I noticed we have a business that apparently is gone. I mean, the stuff is still in the store, but I hear the people have left. The thrift store next to the computer store. So just thought that was interesting. And I guess we're getting a pub or something that I'm anxiously waiting to see what, where. And so, you know, just driving around town and seeing stuff and how well I think our businesses, excuse me, are being supported. When I do go into places, there's people in there buying stuff and visiting and just being part of the community. And I find that invigorating. So I just, our little craft store, God bless that little store. That is just a great addition for downtown, and our coffee shop. And, you know, it's just, it's comforting to see our town progress the way it is. So anyway, that was my thing, and I'm looking forward to spring and gardens, work on those gardens again, and just happy to live in this lovely community. Thank you.
Thank you, Margot. I always appreciate your upbeat comments. Thank you so much.
Well,
And it's nice to know. What's that?
We needed that tonight.
Yeah. So thank you.
okay.
That's all good. Annabelle, you? Make sure somebody's not sitting back there hiding in the podium by Rob. We're gonna have to blast front this so I can see through. All right, we'll go on to scheduled appearances. Order to be on this part of the agenda, you have to file the appropriate paperwork with the city clerk no later than noon on Monday prior to the meeting. Request approval to apply for the Dolo Energy Mineral Impact Grant for the wastewater treatment facility. That would be wrong.
Yes, that falls on me. Good evening, council. I have been asked to seek approval for city council for DDA to move forward with applying for a DOLA Energy and Impact Grant to seek $1 million in additional funding for the shortfall for our wastewater plant. As council's well aware of, we are expecting a shortfall when the bids come in, so we are seeking funding from all sources. There's a mineral and energy impact grant that's coming due that we think we fit the bill for, so we have been encouraged to apply. DJ has been working on that document and has it ready. And we need approval from city council to move forward with that grant. So it is $1 million with a match from the city, just like the last one we got. So if council, I would be happy to entertain any questions you may have. We do have funds and reserves that we could apply to it. The way the grant is written, they are allowing us to use our secured USDA funding to match that grant, so it would not come from our coffers, so to speak. So that's a good thing. So nothing from the city as far as out of our coffers. It would come from the USDA funds that we have already secured. So but I do need a formal motion and approval from city council to move forward with that grant so we could submit it.
What's the timing?
What's that?
What's the timing of the grant?
It would be, it's due next week. So it has to be in next week, but then the award would come about the same time as we award a contract if we can have it. So it would fit right in with the construction process.
I'm sorry.
And I will discuss the wastewater plant in more detail tonight during my report.
Okay. Go ahead.
Well, I just make a motion to authorize the applying for a DOLA Energy Mineral Impact Grant for the wastewater treatment plant.
Seconded. It's been moved and seconded to approve the request to apply for the Dolo Energy Mineral Impact Grant for the wastewater treatment facility. Is there any discussion? You need a?
Counselor Bradshaw,
Yes.
Counselor Sabella,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Howard,
Yes,
Mayor Becker.
Aye.
Motion carries to allow for staff to move forward to apply for the DOLA Energy Mineral Impact Grant for the wastewater treatment facility in the amount of $1 million with a match from the secured USDA funding that is already in in contract. Excuse me. It's already been secured. Gotcha.
Thank you. You need it. We will move to resolutions. Resolution 2026-05. Resolution adopting the 2026 fee schedule for the city of Monte Vista.
Well, I make a motion to adopt.
But I have,
Wait.
I have an entire presentation for you.
Okay. Well, I was waiting, I mean, no, I don't get anything, so let's do it.
Yes, boy.
I hear that.
Okay, so, and I apologize, but there's a lot to this fee schedule. And I want to make sure that you all understand everything that we're doing with the fee schedule. So it's a little bit lengthy and I apologize for the time, but I want to make sure you understand it. So this is the fee schedule. So administration, there's no changes in administration. So we just went over what we charge for administration fees. Go ahead. Business license. I know you all can't see this and I apologize. It is in your packet as well. The only thing that's changed on this is the vendor fees for events. We were charging $5 for vendor fees. I checked around throughout the valley. I've also reached out to like Pueblo and stuff. Vendor fees, people are charging $100 to, anywhere from 25 all the way up to $200 for vendor fees. We were charging $5. And it really wasn't covering our costs to print the paperwork, to print the certificate. So we did up that charge to $25. So we are charging $25. If you all approve that tonight, we will send out a PSA. We will update all that information on our website and we'll send it out on Facebook as well. We've only had a couple of vendors who've come in so far for the month of January, and we've honored the $5. But if it's approved tonight, we will up that fee to $25. For the holiday bazaar for in December, they had a total of 148 booths at the holiday bazaar. We only had 38 of those vendors that actually came in and got a vendor permit. So between Sarah, myself, and Dervin, we're working on a new way to make sure that vendors come in and get that vendor permit. We're not asking for much, but to do work in the city, they need to have a vendor permit. That goes along with the taxes, what they sell here. It's, if they sell over $500, they submit a tax. That's, they do that on their own. And then we get a percentage of that. If it's under $500, we don't get anything. So it just depends on what they sell at an event. So that's the only thing that we upgraded in the business license section.
So while we're on the vendor section, that is all the food trucks, that's the holiday bazaar.
Food trucks, we make them get a business license.
Okay.
We stopped doing vendor permits for food trucks. Because they have to go through so much. They have to get their food handler's license from the public health department. They have to go through everything like that. We have to verify that. So we started making them as of last year, we started making them get business license. So they can't just come in and get a vendor's permit for a food truck. They have to get a full-fledged business license. And right now throughout the valley, The latest list that I got from Gary Bruder from the Public Health Department, there's a total of 52 food trucks throughout the valley.
Okay. So, and that's just with the coordinated event that you're wanting to change, right? Not the annual
Correct.
multi-event?
Correct. And if you noticed on that, if they don't comply, so if we go out and they don't have a vendor's permit, we're gonna charge them $50 for a single event. So if we go to the holiday bazaar and Sarah and I walk through and they don't have a permit for their vendor's license, we're gonna charge them $50. It just, you know, I've been here 10 years now and I've been pretty lax on the vendor permits. And I've checked around and there's nobody that doesn't charge. They charge.
Does that vendor permit cover them for the full year?
If they come in and get a full year permit, it's $50. They can come in and get a full year permit and they can go to every single event that the city has.
And that was the one that was on the top, the $50 versus the.
And that,
Yep.
and that covers like county fair stuff,
Everything.
the Potato Festival, Cinco de Mayo.
So if they want to do a full year and they want to go to Potato Fest, Cinco de Mayo, Stampede's a little different because Stampede does their own vendors. We don't do vendors for Stampede. Now we did start doing, because Stampede only allows a certain number of vendors within their group inside Sky High. So what we've been doing is if people want to do something outside of Sky High and do vending, that area across from Sonic, the open area that belongs to the railroad, what we've been doing is allowing a certain number of vendors over there because it's their way of making a living too during Stampede. And after speaking with Gigi about it, we don't want to withhold somebody from making money during Stampede. So Stampede only allows a certain number of people within their area in Sky High. We don't allow vendors down alongside Sky High Trail anymore because it was getting too involved with the apartment complex, blocking traffic. So we're allowing them, and the railroad has given us permission to allow the vendors in that area during Stampede. Community development. So this would be planning and zoning. So this is all of the fees that go along with taking things to planning and zoning. So annexation, planned unit developments, sign permits, rezoning, subdivisions, conditional use permits. None of this changed from last year. So this is all the same from last year. Again, the sign permit, you'll notice that there is no charge for a sign permit unless you don't come in. If you just put a sign up without coming in and filling it out and making sure that it matches our sign regulations, then you're gonna get charged a fine of $100. So we just ask people, if you're gonna put up a sign, come in, fill out the permit, give us a copy of what the size is of your sign, make sure that we sign off on it. Usually that'll go through DJ or Michelle, and they will sign off on it, make sure it meets all of our sign requirements, and then there is no charge for it. But if you just go out and put up a sign without making sure that it meets our code, then you are possibly gonna get charged $100.
Make that good for all the yard sale signs too.
No,
I'm kidding. I just see
No,
them for like months
unfortunately.
afterwards. Know what I mean? Like maybe we can put a public service announcement for those. Or something.
So we did last year. I did put out a public service announcement for yard sale signs. Especially our public utility companies have complained that they don't want them on their poles anymore because it's making it dangerous for their employees
All the
when they
names.
go out to service those poles or they do something. There's nails or screws or, staples in them, and it causes a danger to those too. So I did put out a PSA last year, and I will put out a PSA again this year, reminding people, there's a bulletin board at the chamber. There's, other means of putting up yard sale signs. So we will do that again.
And for the sign permit, that's an exterior sign, right?
Well, it's also window signs. Because our code says you're only allowed a certain number of signage for the square footage that you have. So you have to be careful with how many signs that you put in your windows as well. So you have to, if you're gonna put signs in the window, even if it's stenciling in your windows, you need to make sure just to come in, and it's a super simple process. You just fill out the sign permit. DJ or Michelle or myself, if DJ or Michelle aren't here, we just make sure that it follows within our sign code. We sign off on it, give it back to you, and you go about your business. This is a new category for our fee schedule. So as you all know, the Rio Grande County Building Department no longer does our building permits. So this is a new section for our fee schedule. And this is what DJ put together. And this was based on, correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, but this was based on the RFPs that you guys went through, correct?
Right, DJ did a ton of research on this, and a lot of it is third-party stuff, but DJ's gonna do he's gonna do what he can in-house. But most of the inspections and stuff are farmed out this year, third-party wise.
And you guys approved that contract to,
Yes.
to the builders, contract builders last council meeting. So this is all the fees that they agreed upon for the building permit fees. Next page. Again, these are building permit fees. Couple of things I want to point out here. Re-roof. If you re-roof your house without a permit fee, again, this is an extremely simple process. DJ, Michelle, myself, Sarah can sign off on these. These are extremely simple. You don't have to have it inspected. We just need to know that you're doing it. But if you do a re-roof without getting it signed off on, you are liable to get a 200% of the original cost of a permit fee. So if you're gonna re-roof your house, just come in and get it signed off on. It's a $30 permit fee through us. You just have to go through the process. $30, right, Sarah? Yeah. You have to go through the process. Let us know. Make sure that there's no walls being tore down. Make sure there's nothing else going on with that permit. But we have to know that there is a re-roof going on. Same thing with the building and remodeling permit. If you're remodeling the inside of your house, as long as there's no walls being torn down, we don't care. You can put new carpet in, you can paint, but if walls are being torn down, that's something totally different. Because you as a layman person may not know if that wall is a structural wall and holding up your house. DJ went to do an inspection the other day, and the people had already tore down a wall, and he walked in there and he's like, oh no, your house is being held up by two 2x4s right here. And it was under a window. So you have to be really careful with what you do and need to make sure that the proper people are inspecting it. Same thing with the permit renewal. If you're building and your permit runs out, you have 1 year. 1 year with your permit. Just come in and get it renewed. Don't think that you can go 2 years and 3 years building. Come in at the end of your permit expiration and get it renewed, so you don't run into that fine of 50%. Next. Finance department, we didn't change anything in there. Everything's the same. Okay. Kids Connection, we did change one thing in there. So Kids Connection is ran by their funds from TANF. So a lot of their fees are ran by what they get from TANF. So they don't charge Monte Vista residents and Rio Grande residents. So if you're out of county or you're over a certain income, we did change that rate. So for after school program, she changed that to $6 a day or $6 an hour. And then after for a full day, it's $10.
What is that income cap?
I don't know. I think it's 70. Is it 70 or 75?
It was 70.
And that was the only thing that got changed on that one.
So did you say that that was $6 an hour?
$6 a day for after school. And then $10 for the full day. Okay. Liquor licensing, this was updated per the state. So as you can see, there's one side that's local fees and the other side that's state fees. As you know, everything that comes through the local liquor authority board also goes to the state. So once you guys approve it, I also send it to the state and it has to be approved through the state. So not only do we charge our fees, but the state also charges their fees. This is updated through the state, and I can only charge what the state allows me to charge for liquor license. Next. Again, there's just a lot of different liquor licenses that can be issued. Municipal court. So here's another area where we had to change a couple of things. So in our current code, our new judge has located a issue. 2550B, court costs and PD surcharges. Last year, we took those court costs and PD surcharges up to $50 per the other judge. What none of us realized, this is our current code under that 2550B, specifically states that they're $25. So we had to take those fees back down to $25. We are currently, our city attorney is currently working on an ordinance to fix that. So until that's fixed, we did have to take those back down to $25. So you'll see that court costs and PD surcharges are now back down to $25. And I'll go into a little bit more detail a little bit later in that. Okay. This is all up to $2,650, and this is per state statute that we can charge up to that amount for these criminal code violations, and they're all summonses to our court, to municipal court. Yes. Police department. So Chief Charlie went over all of this and he went through and upped most of these prices per his regulations that he wanted to see. So as you can see, most of these went up to $40 or $50. So basically, instead of like copying of the audio recording, if somebody comes in here and wants a copy of the audio recording, at one point, so last year we were charging $20. The problem with that is when Irene does that, there's portions of that audio recording that she has to redact. There may be another person in that video, there may be names that can't go out. That takes a lot of time for her to do that. So those prices went up to $40. Copies of reports, those went up to $10 instead of we were charging $2. Was it $2? We were charging $2. And then photos, we went from $5 for photos up to $25 for photos. Some of those photos have to be redacted depending on what's in them. And then plus the cost of things have just gone up for us to do that as well for colored copies and everything. And you went by other regulations that you could up those costs.
I think one of the biggest things that you're gonna see in there is everybody has body worn cameras now. And that goes to the same thing. So the question of it is, it starts to come in, people are starting to request body worn cameras. Well, I have one person that does multitude of duties. I had one request that they wanted pretty significant case we had. And after I looked at it, there was 133 body worn cameras. So figure 1 hour, 133 hours, and to redact and do all those things, even if it took 1 hour, there's 3 weeks of work on somebody, on one person. So we have to be looking at those things and be conscious of that and what it is on our time. So those are the things that, if those are the requests, we will be able to keep up with those. Keeping up with those, if those requests continue to come in at that, but then we were able to go back and say, okay, we can do that, but this is what it would, and this is what the price would be, and therefore we're asking for upfront prices. That way they came back and go, okay, well, we'd just like it on this person or on this camera and on this report. Much easier to shrink it down than to try to spend the next 3 weeks on one case trying to do that. So this is a way of making sure that if we had to do that and that came through, we're going to reap some of that to pay for the cost of all that time it's going to go into that.
Recreation, nothing changed in recreation. Dervin said that he's one of the higher prices in the valley and nobody's complaining, and he's gonna leave it right where it's at. Again, these are some of the things for recreation. The only thing we did change is the electrical hookup. For Chapman Park, we did change that up to $25. It was 20 and we put it to 20. Okay, this is where we have a little bit of change. So in prior, we didn't have a section cut out for public works. We just had kind of it scattered all over the place. So we split it out and we have a public works section and we have it cut out by permits. And we put all of the permits in one area. None of them changed price-wise. So everything stayed the same as far as the permits go, except for we added the right-of-way excavation permit, right? And that's the $50 both in city and out of city.
Is out of city the home lake folks?
Yes. So once you pass,
Basically.
right there at,
Yeah.
yes,
They're on Sherman.
And everything east of that.
correct.
Okay.
Okay. Public Works, again, this is the sewer service. what changed here is in June of last year was our last price reduction or price increase for the sewer, so that was the last one there, which is 46.92. So you'll see that under the customer equivalent resident. Or I'm sorry, 55.61. Sorry, the sewer base charge. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong one. Sorry. So that was our last increase for the sewer.
When is that gonna change again?
It won't. That sewer's done.
That's the final.
Yep, that was the final one.
Oh, yeah, it's super.
Yeah, for now. Okay. Water services. So nothing's changed in here except for the water is currently under a rate study, and that's in progress based on what you all asked Rob to do. So that's currently under a rate study. Next. Again, this is just the next page of the water service. Next. This is something that you all need to think about. If you all would please put input and discuss this evening, I would be greatly appreciated. This is something we're adding. This is for events for Public Works. I'm just gonna let you soak this in, and then I'll explain it to be. Okay? Soak it in, soak it in. Okay, go to the next one. Sky High, Durbin has not changed anything in Sky High. People, right now, the rates are good. He likes the way things are going, and until he feels a little more comfortable with everything, he wants to leave things the way they are. The only thing that he did change is the water service. Instead of charging people for water, he's put that as a complimentary thing as part of their service. And instead of charging an hourly rate for adding extra decoration or blocking out the windows, he said that that was part of their duties as being an event, and felt like they're there and that's what they need to be doing. So he took that charge off. And then if you'll just go ahead and go through the Sky High.
Hey, stay here or go?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, one more. One more. Here's the other one that he changed is basketball courts set up and take down. So he has a lot of events that are now revolving around recreation as well. And they put the basketball courts down. But then he has an event that comes in and they're like in between a basketball game or basketball events. And he has an event that comes in and says, we want the event center for this night, and we want the basketball courts taken up. And he agrees to do that, but what they're doing is they're going to charge for that. And they're charging $500 to take them up and $500 to put them back down. So if somebody wants to come in between that week period where they're doing basketball tournaments and they want those basketball courts up for a wedding or an event that's in the event center, then they have to pay the $500 to take the courts up and put them back down. Because it takes quite a bit of time to put those basketball courts, take them up and put them back down.
So it'll be $1,000.
Yeah. And then previously, the AV equipment had all been complimentary. And people were asking Durbin, why aren't you charging for this? This is stuff that all other event centers are charging $100 for. And Durbin's like, well, it's, in my eyes, it should be just part of what you're paying for. And after a lot of discussion, it was discussed that he would charge $10 for this, some of the stuff that was complimentary.
And I think the part of that is really this equipment gets used and used and it's gonna wear out, and then we're going to have to replace it, so a $10 fee of getting that, it can go into a thing that if something does happen to wear out, we have some sort of funding that can replace something instead of now we're looking for how do we replace this when it's being constantly used or the scoreboard goes down or something. There's an opportunity to have something that maybe be able to go back into that to fix it.
And I haven't seen their paperwork, but does he have along those lines, a breakage clause or replacement clause or, okay.
Yeah, they
Good.
do. So they get a deposit fee, for if there's any breakage or damage of the equipment. They get
Thank you.
that deposit. Okay. So discussion, municipal court, as I stated, 2550B municipal court charges are stated $25 and PD surcharges are stated $25. An ordinance will be brought to you to change this to reflect as stated per Monte Vista fee schedule. Then these fees can be adjusted as determined by staff and city council. Our city attorney is working on that ordinance, and hopefully that'll be brought to you soon. I know Brad is working on a couple other ordinances with our code along the courts system, that there's a couple other issues that he's working on that need to be brought to you as well, that need to be changed up quick and in a hurry, that both he and our new judge found, so.
Yeah, and what we're doing is like maybe a one shot, like an ordinance that addresses all the changes, because this would be easy. This could be done in a day or two, right, on the little things. And I hope to have that done. I always hate to say timelines. You'll hold me to it because it depends on the fires. But you know, this is nothing that's gonna wait a year. I want this done really by hopefully the March court date. I was trying to get it all done by this court date. So anyway, it'll move along. Try to get all those changes done and try to at least get the obvious cleanup points finished. You know, stuff like the fees, and there's a couple other provisions. Just at least get those done because they're actually, in my opinion, creating sort of a hindrance. There's one provision that says we only have a year to collect outstanding was it fines, penalties, and that's a year from the event. So, you know, by the time they get to court, make a couple of appearances, you've already lost a few. Well, that's not required by state law. That's just hindering us. And I just want to give you sort of an example as I mention things that are, I think, in my opinion, are counterproductive, you know, and then I think the fees the state allows is $50. The only problem was internally, we just didn't do an ordinance or something here to change it to $50. So when we don't change our rule, then the judge is kind of stuck with what our rule is. So that's a cleanup matter. And we'll get back to that. So I don't want to belabor it because I don't want to be losing money, and let's at least get the obvious ones done. And then if we spot some others down the road, that's kind of my opinion, my timetable, and try to get this done in the next, 30 days or less. But I told Nita, let's try to have it done by February the 26th. As far as my suggestions on these cleanup matters, I call them, are kind of obvious ones. And then therefore, then we can get it to you guys, because you know what it takes to do an ordinance with publication and everything. We're still going to lose some time. So thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
And then once that ordinance is done, then we can do a amendment to the fee schedule to put those fees back up to $50. So, okay, this is where I want to get into those event fees that I asked you to soak in. Okay, so currently our public works staff, they take on the duties to set up events. So they take on the duties for traffic control, trash collection, event setup and takedown, which includes barricades, whatever the event may ask for. All of this is done under overtime, and none of the events pay for any of these activities. Staff is currently working on event application for the event coordinators to fill out, and it requires all the information that they're looking for. It includes attendance, parking, trash control, restroom coverage, exhibits, access, liquor, and complete map of the design of the event. This will allow the staff to go through the applications. It will allow us to prepare to what they need and to be accordingly to exactly what the event needs. It'll allow for staff to prepare for how many people that they need on the event. And we're also working on a frequently asked questions and a step-by-step guide on what they need to consider to put on the event. Because some of these people come in and they're like, oh, we want to do this event, but they've never put on an event. And then staff is left to help them prepare how to do the event. And I hate to say it, but the city's not in event planning. I mean, we don't mind helping people, but you know, when people come to us to put on an event, our job is to make sure that the road's ready. They have the proper documents that they need, the proper permits that they need, but not to plan the event. And I'm gonna let Rob talk about what his crew does for those events and why the fees that we put on there. Sarah, can you go back to the events one so that they can look at those fees, please?
Yeah, just to give council kind of an idea, I mean, a lot of the events, I actually draw the maps of what they're talking about as far as what their event diagram looks like for like Cinco de Mayo or something, and I outline what their event's gonna look like. But for staffing, depending on the event, I usually I'm asked to have staff there an hour before the vendors start showing up. So if they advertise their vendors are gonna start showing up at 9, I have staff available at 8 to help start setting the vendors up. We stay throughout the event. If there's road closures, we're there an hour before so to start having the roads closed down. We stay at least an hour past the closing of the event. So if Cinco de Mayo, they're gonna start having vendors set up at 9, the event goes until 5. I have staff on board. This is all on overtime hours from 8 in the morning until 6 to 7 o'clock at night. Doing an event, stampede parades. We have a meeting with the PD starting at 8 o'clock in the morning. Streets are shut down at 9. On Friday's parade, we're lucky to be out of there by 2. On Saturday's parade, it's usually 3 o'clock before we're out. And all of these are overtime hours, and Stampede is one that takes my entire staff. So you have 13 employees that are being paid on overtime. And historically, we have eaten those costs for those events. We've never received a dime reimbursement. And as we look tighter and tighter at our budgets, I'm thinking, and I've talked to Gigi about it, and we decided this year we'd put it on city council to see your thoughts. And like I said, it is brand new. It is, and we kind of threw some ideas. It doesn't cover all of our costs. For those, what you're looking at, small events where I can literally have a supervisor and 1 employee on staff. Medium-sized events would be 2 employees plus a supervisor, and then large events would incorporate at least 2 to 3 employees and a supervisor. It doesn't cover Stampede, but at least it covers some of our costs. So.
What constitutes an event?
So anything that's Cinco de Mayo.
I want to rent Chapman Park and an event.
No. If you rent like the pavilion at Chapman Park, no. It's where you're doing an event where you're needing trash service, roads closed, potato fest, things of that nature. It's where you're actually doing an event large enough that's public use. Usually if you're renting Chapman Park, it's a private party. Yeah. So my definition of an event is an event that's open to the public. So if you're renting Chapman Park for a private event, you're not involved in public works. You may come to get barricades and stuff, but you're not asking us to set them up. We may place, a prime example is during Stampede, there was a block party It was a class reunion and we set up barricades as far as we placed them on the corner there at Jefferson. And the class reunion folks, they set the barricades up and they had their class reunion between the Pivot House and Stars and Strikes, but we weren't involved. We didn't handle the cleanup. We just told them when they were done, put the barricades back in the corner. Our next business day, we went back and picked up the barricades. So it didn't involve our staff outside of our normal business hours. So an event is usually taking place outside of our normal business hours and involves our staff doing work outside of what our normal business hours are.
I'd like to
so-
see a definition
Okay,
of what constitutes an event.
okay. Work on that.
You know, it could be, you know, pretty simple, but.
Right.
On my question on the parade, because I know it takes all your staff, but I know they're always, like, the parade group is separate from
It is.
the stampede.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know they're always begging, well, they're always asking for donations or whatever to get that done, so. Is that because it is such a big event for Monte Vista? Is that something, and I know, I get it, budget wise, is that something we need to? It's like a big event that brings a lot to Monte Vista. Is that something that we should kind of teeter on, because I don't know that.
That is completely up to the city council. You make the policies. If that's something you want to put in there as an exemption, that's your purview.
Because
to-
that's like our big hoorah, right?
It is. And
That, and then we have the parade of lights, but if we charge for the parade of lights, and it ain't. Because that one's unfunded anyway. But
so that's why Gigi specifically sent council an email wanting you guys to really think on this, because it is brand new. But it does involve a lot of my staff time, every event. So, and that's why I said and that's why Anita wanted to have it, pointed out so you guys could think on it. You can approve the fee schedule without that. I mean, you can make that modification if you so choose. So it's just, we're looking at budgets and we're trying to recoup some of our cost. So.
okay, PD gets paid while they're.
PD gets paid for stampede, they get paid for the parade.
And I think those are the things you have to look at. I mean, everybody wants to have big events and they're doing things. But I'm with you. I think this is it's a community event. However, it does take law enforcement. It does take that, and we're inviting others into this. It's a big event like that. Obviously, they're making money. They are a business, but we are a city that have to provide that security and that safety of anything that could go wrong. So a liability when it falls apart is going to fall on us as the city. And if we don't have the proper things in place, they're going to be questioning us as to why did you let this go and you only had this amount of people there? Well, they don't want to pay us anymore. It's like you had this many people here and you didn't do these things. That should just be a condition of the permit, that say, hey, you're based off of these things. There should be things in place on that. That's just kind of, where I've come from, those are the things that you have to be. And I work with many large businesses and doing these things, and it's always can be contentious, but you have to understand is that, we're trying to provide a service and prevent something. So, from my standpoint, you're not paying people for what they do, law enforcement for what they do. You're paying them for what they may have to do. And we want to make sure that all our events are safe and that we have the proper things in place and that everyone goes home at the end of the night with no issues. And I think that goes back to this, it's great that Public Works and do these things, but I've seen that we're doing all these things and then it's coming out of our budget, the city's budget, when somebody else may be making something out of this and stuff. You have to find a fine balance between our responsibilities and is it benefit the city in this, and is it okay to pay that? But then when we're in budget crunch and we need something else and we can't get that, then that's where you're looking at fees and how do we change that?
What do you give an estimate of what? I know you've got those guys on overtime Friday and Saturday, but do you have that probably doesn't even cover it?
No, it doesn't, on any of those, it doesn't cover what we spend. So. So on the parade, we average for Stampede, just the 2 parades, we average about $3,000 a cycle. In overtime, because you have to remember, the only person on my staff that is not working the parade is generally Bobby, and he's running the plants while the rest of the crew is at the parades. So.
Is there more? That's it. So like the parade in town, is that Chamber of Commerce? Is that?
No, it's actually a committee of Stampede folks. It's not affiliated with Stampede, so they're not affiliated with the Stampede Committee. But they have historically put on the parade.
Okay. I think I'm good with that. You know, there's, like you said, even $3,000 for a weekend, you know, for staff.
And I think last year's bill was $4,000 to $6,000 for the PD for Stampede Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
I mean, we weren't charging anything before.
We haven't charged. Public Works has never charged for any event, any parade service. It's just something we have always eaten. You know, last year, Potato Fest, we had three employees and a supervisor on to run that event.
So how many events do we get every year that would require?
6.
Are we talking about events that require overtime or just take away from your daily or weekly or typical public works duty? Sweeping the street and checking water meters and that kind of thing.
I would have to put people off in order to cover the event if it wasn't on overtime, so we'd have to take away from daily activities to cover a special event.
Because it doesn't matter what time those events are, your staff is gonna be there.
All the events are either scheduled for Friday or Saturdays. Off of our normal, we work a normal Monday through Thursday schedule. So all the events have been on.
So could that be the definition of an event? Requires overtime fundamentally?
Could be, yes.
Do you think we can have a work session about that?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Let's approve I'd say we approve the fee schedule without that and have a work session.
I would agree to that.
I agree.
It would give us time to really think through it and
Yeah.
talk about it.
I would make a motion to approve resolution 2026-05, resolution adopting the 2026 fee schedule for the city of Monte Vista minus the event fees.
Parade and event.
I'm sorry.
The parade and the event.
Yeah, the parade and the event fees, until we can, so we can have a work session about it.
Let's second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution 2026-05. The resolution adopting the 2026 fee schedule for the city of Monte Vista, excluding the events of the parade duty and the events for public works. That makes sense?
Yes.
Is there any more discussion? Pending a work session on that. Okay. All right, Unita?
Counselor Bradshaw,
Yes.
Counselor Segola,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Howard,
Yes.
Mayor Becker.
Yes.
Motion carries to approve resolution 2026-05, a resolution adopting the 2026 fee schedule for the city of Monte Vista, excluding the event fees for public works on parades and events pending a work session.
Thank you, Unita. Contracts, agreements, approval of the HUTF.
So, again, council, tonight I brought this forward for the new counselors so they understand. We received money through, CDOT for our highway users tax fund, which is a combination of part, vehicle registrations and the gasoline tax that you pay when you purchase gas. And what it is, annually, we have to certify our mileage that we have in town. And tonight before you is that mileage certification. So the city of Monte Vista has 7.49 miles of arterial roads, 22.008 miles of local streets, for a grand total of 29.498 miles of HUT eligible streets and 0.24 miles of HUT eligible streets that are actually maintained by Rio Grande County. So I need Dale to, I need city council to approve the certification and authorize Dale to sign this certification so I get it back to CDOT so we can continue to receive our monthly reimbursements from the gasoline tax.
How much is that, Rob?
It equals about $153,000 annually.
Fair chunk of money.
Yeah, decent.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded.
With an approval for Dale to sign.
Yes, thank you.
It's been moved and seconded to approval of the HUTF fund with the mayor to sign for the Colorado Department of Transportation. Is there any discussion? Nita?
Counselor Bradshaw,
Yes.
Counselor Segola,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Howard,
Yes.
Mayor Becker.
Yes.
Motion carries for the approval of the HUTF funds.
And next year that mileage will go up because we'll add the new section of Tierra del Sol with the new section. Those roads go up for warranty this year. So we'll add those on next year's certification. Okay, so.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, Ross. Staff proposals, reports, and action. City clerk.
Good evening again. So a few things I wanted to update you on. So we have court on February 26th. Really cool thing that is taking place. And Brad, we did get that fixed today. I told you we wouldn't let it go very long. You
Which-
can now see the cases the
Oh,
report.
yeah, but I can see them anyway the other way. Yeah, they have
Well,
backups. I was
it's-
like, what are you talking about? Because,
It's
but yeah, I know what
fixed.
you're talking about because I used to look,
It's
I
fixed.
can access the data anyway.
So, our city attorney and our city judge both now have laptops. And Sarah has been working very hard at uploading our files, our courts into, so we have Cassell, and I called Cassell, and there's a way now that our judge and our attorney can put their notes into Cassell. So they can log into Cassell and they can put their notes in there. So Sarah and I can see their notes. They can see each other's notes. And then we have created a way with IT's help where we can upload all of the reports, pictures, everything into Cassell. So we're doing away with all of our paper files and they can access them. City attorney came in today to go over and learn how to do Cassell, and it didn't work. And Sarah and I were like, no, because Sarah's been working all week on it. And Brandon came in and he's like, oh, here, beep, beep, beep. And Sarah got it all fixed and it now works. So Brad and both our city judge can see everything through the laptops and they can communicate with each other through the notes and communicate with us. So on the 26th, we should have an extremely smooth court date and it'll be interesting to see how it works out with the courts.
An even smoother court date, right?
It's gonna be great. As our city attorney was saying, one of the glitches that was found is that cases that are a year old, we don't have jurisdiction over anymore, according to our code, which again is being worked on with an ordinance. So what the judge is doing right now is as long as it's a criminal case, then it's being closed. So he goes through it and then he's closing those cases. So unfortunately, some of those cases that are decades old are being closed. Which helps our finance department because right now we have $95,000 of unclaimed debt sitting on the books through our court system. So it's gonna get cleaned up. I mean, it's gonna be a process, but between the judge and the city attorney and the new ordinances that are gonna come down, everything's gonna get cleaned up and I can see a really good process coming our way. Something that you all need to be thinking about is if you want to put jail back on the table. The city attorney and I had a conversation with Ann, the sheriff, today. She's putting together a MOU to discuss jail costs. There's been nothing that we've discussed or decided on. Currently, it's $66 a day, correct? $66 a day?
Actually, the last agreement we could find was 45 a day, but she may be charging us the 66 anyway, and that was sort of the no agreements, no promises, but that's probably the ballpark actually. And Charlie could chime in, but jail fees run, a lot of times $75 and up. A lot of places are over $100 a day. And so even at $66 a day, that's actually a bargain, but we would like to try to negotiate with her and get that down as low as possible before it's presented to the board, of course. Let's see what we can do. She seemed open to that, fair enough.
Yeah.
And just to piggyback at your report, not mine, but
yeah,
if we don't have jail, what it was on a lot of these cases, they weren't paying. So then what do you do with them? So if you're not gonna send them to jail, they're not paying, and our own rule says you can't collect past a year, what do you do with that case? So I think, part of the effort was to bring them in and aggravate them enough that maybe at some point somebody might pay because they were aggravated enough, fair enough. But you have two problems. One's the scoff laws, I call them. That is, they're scoffing at the laws anyway. They're not paying any attention. They're not coming to court. They're not paying their fines. They're committing more violations. And anything the court tells them to do, they're not doing it. And I think that they're believing, well, what are you going to do to me? So are those write-offs, from a business standpoint? It's like, okay, so you just there, everybody's spending time on these people who aren't showing up, processing, put them on the docket every week. And what are we gonna do with them? With jail off the table, and it's your all's decision on jail or not, but we're looking for teeth. And so that you're good people, they're gonna take responsibility, right? They're gonna come in, they're gonna pay their fine, I did something wrong. It's just a handful, would you say? And in my look, it's not a lot of folks, but they're just thumbing their noses is the politest way I can put it at you and our system. So we've got ideas, and as I said before, some of them are going to go down the street and be charged with state charges. With the chief's policy, his agreement, we've all roundtabled, and I don't get to make that decision, he does, but I'm like, why keep arresting somebody that's shoplifted 20 times in the last 6 months who's not coming to court, not paying their fines, and thumbing their nose at our process? I think that's more appropriate in a state charge, where jail certainly is on the table down the street. But we've got to hire, and that's enough now. I know we're running late, and I'm not trying to steal your time, but it's something I want you guys to ruminate on. It's like, okay, do we want to do less enforcement on our end and send more down because we can't afford jail, or do we want some teeth behind what we're doing? In certain areas. And if you do want some teeth, and you do want to, maybe we'll try to come up with some money. We can pick certain areas to key on. It's not like it's an all or nothing thing. Fair enough. So you don't have to say, okay, it's just jail for everybody. You could say, well, for these types of cases, maybe I don't know. We'll talk about that at budget time. So I hope that helps and doesn't confuse you more. But without any just sort of hammer over their head. And like I said, you got a handful of people know there's no hammer. They're just laughing about it. So I don't like that. We want to get their attention, and we want to make a difference in your community.
So,
Real quick,
yes.
well, I can wait till after you're done when you ask for it.
Judge Stanger did issue 8 warrants at the last court. And with those warrants, what we're doing is, it's basically a book and release is what he's calling it. So basically our officers are going to pick them up, take them to our GSO. They're going to be booked and then automatically PR'd because there is no jail on the table. The way it works, which unfortunately I wasn't aware of because of information that I was given, but if they are booked and they are kept on that 72-hour hold that we're allowed to keep them, we're charged. So if they're booked into our GSO, we're going to get charged that daily rate of $66. And I do believe that we have gotten a couple of bills for some of the defendants that have been placed in jail. And I was told, oh, no, leave them there, just leave them there over the weekend. And Judge Stanger is like, no, what we're going to do is we're going to book and release. So basically what he wants them is book them. We're going to PR them, and then they have to figure out how to get back to Monte. So kind of it's because jail's not on the table, and we don't want to cost the city. And unfortunately right now we don't have the budget, and we don't have that budget line item. So that's what we're doing right now with the warrants that are being issued. And those warrants are being issued on failure to appear. And it's not the first, second, or third time. It's usually you've gotten 3 strikes, you've been sent 3 show cause letters, and you're still not coming to jail or coming to court. Now you're going to get picked up on a warrant. So that's what we're doing in the courts right now. So our next court date is February 26th. The reason it's so far out is the judge is actually on vacation, but normally our court will be the 2nd Thursday of each month. So,
Question. Is there something, I don't know, in place anywhere that maybe, I don't know, I'm just thinking is that we can charge the citizen jail time instead of like the city having to fork out that.
You could tack it on their bill, but then it gets tricky on trying to collect the money. And because Colorado's pretty, nobody goes to jail for owing money. You know, and I'm paraphrasing, but that's what the laws are they're built that way. Yeah, it's just very hard to put people in jail for not paying money, and you really can't. You just can't, where, other states, other places, they'll do it. You don't pay your money, you're gonna go to jail, but even then it gets tricky. So is it fair enough, Nita? I mean, it's just really hard.
Yeah.
So yes, sir, you can charge them, but if they're a turnip, we're still back to, what's your teeth to hammer them when they don't pay their jail bill. So I like it. I like tacking on jail fees when we can. Oh, absolutely, let's do it. Technically, and then practically, we got to see where that goes.
We're also looking at garnishments. And we're also looking at a collection agency. So we're trying to look at a few different options to collect this money.
This will clean up our streets a little better.
We're trying.
You know, because I know people personally that I know who they are. I've seen them walk into my neighbor's yard and take whatever they want. And it's like, I know who that is. I've seen videos and I'm like, oh, I know who that is. I know who that is. And they're saying there's not enough evidence to.
I mean, between our law enforcement, thanks to you guys for our new judge, our new attorney, I've really seen within just the last month, I've seen things there's a difference and things are gonna only get better. So
I could chime in a little bit, even though I'm taking all of your time.
Yeah.
oh no, I don't know. This is
So-
a group effort.
So I've got some major projects, and one of them is these trap houses, nuisance houses, drug houses, whatever you want to call them. And so I've got some running gears of a procedure that's been effective in another jurisdiction, and I want to try to build our system after that because it's working for them. I think it will work for us. I've got all the forms. I just need to tailor them and tweak them and make sure everything's good. And I met with DJ, met with the chief. Who else anyway? And I think that's going to be a pretty easy fix. I'm working on a process to actually do something that might be effective. Now that might come down to a jail discussion again later, but what can I do that minimizes the PD's time? I'm not looking to do a bunch of extra work. I really think it's in my wheelhouse as an attorney to prepare the necessary paperwork. It's really a court action to put the pressure on them, right? So we're looking for ideas not to add to theirs. That's all me. And I've got a system that's already roughed out with examples that I'm going to try to tailor. Another conversation we've had is there is a state statute that could be a possibility if the DA is on board, and I would be happy to talk to her ahead of time in regard to these drug houses. Once again, send them down the street, more teeth, hit them with a crime. Because here, what we said, it's, where's our teeth? What are we going to do? There was something else, but that's all I can remember. So we're working on a system to make our better. We're also working on communications and coordinations with everybody involved to kick them down the street so they get the point and they actually do go sit in jail when they show back up at their house or whatever. If we get them charged under the state violation. So those are my quick thoughts. Sorry. Taking all your time.
On your trap houses, you call it, are those also houses that have had numerous calls time after time? A nuisance house, would that fall under that kind of realm?
Yes, sir. Primarily built around drugs is what I was referring to.
Okay.
Parties and noise might be another one, but
Oh,
how
yeah.
about drugs, drug users, that sort of atmosphere
Okay.
is how the state statute's built. It's kind of how ours is built, our ordinance. So, mainly around these drug places that are just a mess because what comes with it.
Mhm.
Trash in the yard, noise at night, all the other crime that comes with it as they come and go. That's on my radar, guys, is one of and you tell me I work for you, but this is one of the top of my list because I've heard that since I came to work here, and it's a wonderful community and it won't go on, but you need to get rid of these drug houses, get them out of here. Right, Chief? So it's at the top of the list. It's not something floating out there we're thinking about. It's a priority.
And unfortunately, we have 3 of these in our court system right now. that we're trying to deal with. So I think that I think we're slowly getting there. I mean, one of them we got rid of, and they paid their fines, they sold the property's being cleaned up. So one of them's gone. Now we have 3 more to deal with, so, hopefully we're getting there. I mean, it's coming. So,
I'd like to get the code cleaned up first, because that's most immediate, and then I'm already working on the trap houses, but to me, that and some of DJ stuff's coming next, as far as it all needs to get done, but I would just get our code cleaned up and get that going, and then I'm still working on the trap houses, and it'll be the next hammer, I think.
Sounds like some good progress.
there is.
Thank you.
You thank us when it's done and you get results, but I don't want you to think we weren't aware of it. It wasn't, I want you to know it's at the top of the list, and what work's been done so far to lay the foundation. The groundwork is an ongoing process to get it done, make a difference.
Business license, we're pretty close to having all the business license done. We'll get the letters sent out for, second letter sent out saying you have 30 days to comply, or the business could be in jeopardy of being shut down. I don't think we have very many of those that need to be sent out. Most people have complied with that, so business license are good. Yes, ma'am, we do have a distillery coming to town. He is planning on opening, he's hoping to open the end of February. He's on the 2nd block of Adams, and he's been working very hard and very diligently to get that property cleaned up and opened up. He's already got his license with the state, so he's ready to go. He's just getting everything brewed and getting ready to open. Colorado 4x4 is no longer in the building on 2nd Adams. You will notice there is a business in there, and it is a retail auto business. It has nothing to do with repairs. It is retail. So he does have a vehicle in there, but it is not repair. It is just retail. So he sells auto parts, but they're unique auto parts. They're not your Napa auto parts or AutoZone. They're unique auto
Custom.
parts. Yeah, more custom auto parts. What else? I did have another business I had to shut down over the weekend. They had a violation selling alcohol to a minor. Park Avenue Liquor got shut down for 3 days. Unfortunately, I didn't get to tell you before I shut it down because it came in last week and I had to shut them down. They were shut down over the weekend. So it was 3 days over the weekend. They paid their fine to the state and then they got shut down for 3 days. I am working with the paper. We are going to do a big article about safety for alcohol and tobacco for our youth. I'm also working with public health on the tobacco and alcohol safety for the youth. It seems to be a really big deal right now in our community. The state has also put out a new training for city clerks on the safety for tobacco and alcohol for the youth, because they're also noticing an intake on more businesses serving to minors. One of the things that they're saying is, unfortunately, our minors are looking a lot older than what they actually are. So
They start young.
So that's a huge thing that's happening right now, is everywhere. So you'll see that coming out in the next couple of weeks, is a big article on that. Yes,
They
sir.
including vapes?
Yes, for our tobacco, we are including the vapes as well. Yes. We already have a really good policy in place on tobacco. I worked with, was it 4 years ago? That I worked with the public health on the tobacco policy. So we have a really good tobacco policy already in place. We just need to get our businesses on board to make sure that they don't sell or serve to minors. And our businesses need to be aware that the state is watching. I mean, just because we're a little town down south, they're here, they watch, they're visiting. So they need to be aware of that. You should have all gotten an email from Skip. The Board of County Commissioners will meet next week to make the decision on the lodging tax. They will have a work session at 9 a.m. To discuss the distribution formula options. And then the Board of County Commissioners will meet next week to make their decision at their regular meeting.
When did Skip send that email?
Today at 2:48.
I don't think I received it.
Okay, I will forward it to you all to make sure that you all got it. I'll just forward it again to you.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
Okay, I will forward it to you all to make sure that you get that. And then our training went really well. With CIRSA. I think it went really, really well. I sent out the CIRSA training to all of you. Hopefully you all got it. If you have any questions, let me know. Did I send out the Robert's rules? Bob's rules?
I believe you did.
Okay.
I believe
And did you want a hard copy?
I wanted an electronic copy.
Okay.
I think
You wanted a hard copy. Do you two want hard copy of Robert's or Bob's rules, or do you want just an electronic copy? Okay.
I would like a hard copy.
Okay, 2 hard copies. Okay. And 16th is President's Day. City Hall is open. That is not a holiday that we take. We took another day instead of President's Day, so we will be open that day. And don't forget to buy your sweetheart something nice for Valentine's Day.
I have a question before you leave.
Yes, sir.
You said that with all the cleaning things up, that was about $95,000. $95,000 divided by $66 a day, that's 1,439 days. We could put these little punks in jail. It's just something to think about. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So I'm Joe. I'm all for that. I know that there's a lot of people that would benefit from going to jail.
So you all need to keep 2 things in mind. So if we put jail back on the table, we have to have a line item for jail to pay for the jail, but we also have to have a line item for an attorney, because once you put jail back on the table and the judge says, or actually the city attorney says, we're considering jail, we now have to offer that defendant an attorney.
Send it all to the state, right?
So
Yeah.
those are things that you all need to consider. I can tell you that when Dan Powell was here and we did have jail on the table, I mean, this was a long time ago and it was way cheaper, but the numbers that I put together, I spent $1,000 in attorney fees in 1 year. That's little. That's very little. But with today's prices, it's going to be much more than that. So just keep that in mind. I mean, me personally, from what I've seen, I would love to see jail back on the table. I think some of these defendants, statistic wise, the research I've done, it's not the great, I mean, you put somebody in jail for shoplifting, 90% of them are gonna get out and they're gonna shoplift again. You put somebody in jail for shoplifting and you give them help, you get them counseling or whatever, and then that rate drops down to 15% of them going back out and doing that crime again. So your odds of them doing it again are not the greatest, but some of these people, I mean, I don't know, they, you know, they're in the system over and over and over again.
Less than 20, Nita? I was thinking like a dozen, but I mean, it's not that much, is it? Is it more than 20 people that really you see every day? It's the same old suspects.
Yeah.
So when I looked at the docket, I don't know, I was guesstimating based on the one docket I saw, and I'm like, you got about probably maybe a dozen, 15,
Yeah.
20 at the most, probably less than 20. Just to
Yeah.
give you a ballpark of, ones that would be looking at jail. It's not a lot.
Yeah, it's probably 15.
And then you hope that after the first couple go, then your borderline folks straighten up. You never know. But right now, somebody's got to go to jail if we want to make an impact. Or send them down the road, send them with state charges. Anyway, that's for a work session or whatever. We look at a budget.
Okay, I'm done talking now. Unless you have any other questions, I'll stop talking. Okay.
Public Works.
Last time you get to see me tonight. I was gonna buy somebody nice, but seeing how she didn't bend her deadlines to let this packet get into council, she would not get something nice. Anyways. No. So I apologize in advance that this is gonna be fairly lengthy, and next month will be even probably longer, so. I'll go ahead and get started. In the packet that I gave you earlier tonight, there's 2 reports from iWorks. The first is a pie chart from 12/22 of 25 to the 1/22 of 26, showing their daily task assignments and our citizen calls with the breakdowns for residential service charges. The second report is a true breakdown of hourly cost based on our set rate. These rates are not indicative of true salary cost and were initially agreed on with HR. And what it is, it's $30 across the board for all employees. Doesn't take into account their actual salaries. And I'm working right now to adjust that so your future reports will show true costs for employees. With the city benefits, other February adjustments that we're working on with iWorks will include our inventory costs, our parts and material invoices, and better closeout of work orders. We're having a little trouble with the guys doing a really good job at closing out their invoices. They're kind of relying on Michelle to close everybody's work orders. So I'm working with the staff to make sure they're closing out their own work orders. I do want you, as you see these reports, to kind of think about what you want, if you want monthly reports or quarterly reports, or if there's specific things you want to see from Public Works. iWorks gives us a lot of information, so I don't want to overload you, but I do want you to have the information that you think is valuable. Other things tonight that I really want to touch on. We have several different requests for proposals that are out, with some more going out later on in the month. So I just want to touch base on some of those. You guys asked last year for us to go out for a water rate study. This was out and awarded to Element Engineering for a not to exceed price of $4,800. Which is within my award criteria according to the purchasing policy. So I went ahead and signed the agreement and issued the notice to proceed. They produced our rate model for the 2018 water and sewer master plan and had set the sewer rates for the debt service for the new wastewater plant. So they already had the preliminary data already established. I provided them with this year's budget with the dip into the reserves along with the goals for capital improvements and funds to return to the reserves annually. So they're currently working on that and we should have those results here shortly. Also out is the public works fence. This RFP was sent and returned last week and is now being evaluated. The goal is to remove the T-posts that are in front of the public works shop and replace them with a nicer wooden fence. The budget is $2,000. We will start that project next week. Also for budget wise, I decided it was time to gather all of our consumable supplies and put out an RFP to set the pricing for the year and to try to get the best pricing. This RFP was sent out this week with a due date of February 25. We'll see where those pricing comes back, and what I'll do is I'll award it to one company, and that's what we'll do all of our purchases from this year. That'd be like our trash bags and things, supplies and stuff of that nature. Spring planting, we did the RFP and ordering our trees. This is on our tree grant that we have. We have a total of 180 trees that have been purchased. 100 trees are assigned for private installations. And I am working with Nita to highlight this on our website and Facebook and to produce some flyers in conjunction with Planet Geo to make sure we have the applications ready. The DJ's handling the private side, making sure citizens can apply for trees. So we want to make sure we get that out early. The idea right now is they're going to come in the first and second week of June to do the planning. So we want to have the applications out, have everything done. So we have that. This week they provided us the canopy assessment, so we know where our targets are. So we'll be hitting those areas really heavy, but it's open to any resident within the city of Monte Vista that if they want trees, doesn't matter if it's in the street. These are personal trees. They can go in the front yard, in the backyard, anywhere where you want trees. The trees are free. The company, Super Trees, will come in with their guys. They'll plant the tree for you. The only thing as a resident that you need to do is be willing to water it, take care of it, make sure it grows. So it's a really, really good deal. If you look around, during the fall, we planted 90 trees. They're good caliber trees. They're not like what you're going to find at Walmart. They're good, solid 3 to 4 inch caliber trees. They'll grow. They'll be good for your house. So we want people to take advantage of it. So 100 trees are going to go out this year. There'll be another planting this fall that'll have similar kind of criteria. So
What kind of trees?
it's a whole gambit. I'll make sure the list of available species is out there. We've got a combination of shade trees for those folks that have bigger yards and want something more shady. We have non-fruit bearing ornamental trees that if you want something a little smaller but has a lot of color, so you have the fall colors, the spring colors, but not having the fruit that you have to deal with. We have a lot of those species, so a lot of good caliber trees. So, like I said, that's coming up. Planting is going to take place in June. The Monte Vista chip seal project, that's our street project for this year. I'm in the final stages of that. The RFP will be completed and ready to publish by the 16th of this month. And it'll have a due date of March 10th. This will be our pavement maintenance project to preserve the few good streets and our better fair to good roads that we have. And it'll consist of a single lift 3/8 inch chip seal. This lift will increase the life of the pavement, seal it against moisture and fill any cracks. It will also increase the friction value and keep our good roads pavement index in the good range and improve our fair roads back into the lower good range, which will extend the life cycle of the pavement. Our airport consultants, last meeting you guys went ahead and awarded it to Bolton and Mink. Our city attorney has reviewed the agreement and listed a few comments. That's been forwarded back to Bolton and Mink, and we're waiting for them to return their signature. You guys have authorized Gigi to sign, so once I get it back and Gigi returns from vacation, we'll have her sign it. And in the meantime, we're moving full steam ahead. We held our pre-design meeting with the FAA and CDOT Aeronautics for the pavement preservation project for this year. We went ahead during that meeting. We got our DBE goals approved, and the CADEX, the environmental side, the letters were all approved. I've been working with our past consultants, APG, to close out the taxiway and taxi lane projects in this last year's crack seal projects. I did get the closeout papers for those. Plus I got for the last 5 years, all of our documents, and I have those in my files. So I have all the digital documents, the surveys and everything from their consulting services. So we can use those for future. I was even, believe it or not, I was able to attend last week the airport operators winter conference with Gigi. And as you know, she was seated as the Western Slope representative for that board. So it was a good conference. Learned a lot, met quite a few folks, so it was good. Our water meters, which continues to be a thorn in my side. Our current water meter supplier, Census, informed us late last year that they're doing away with the service for our handheld interrogator. That's the device that we use to download our monthly meter reads. So we download it from our gun into the interrogator, and then they use the interrogator to download into the computer so Michelle can process the bills. They're doing away with the hardware and service of that unit altogether. They are forcing us to either download an app and apply it to our cell phones, or to buy more of a tablet and use that. So we're going to have to purchase that this year, or as our system fails. And it seems, depending on the read or the month, that those things like to give us fits. So it's going to be coming up. So with that being said, I'm having a really hard time purchasing our old touch read census meters, knowing that that technology is being phased out. Sooner or later, it is being phased out. And it seems that Census is doing their very best to make that sooner than later. So last year and into this year, I've been meeting with various meter companies and having demos of their various AMI services and what they require. And I am currently working on an RFP for approximately 100 meters of varying sizes. And these would serve for the new installations that I currently know about, and also to replace our current manual reads. We have several manual reads where the guys have to go out when they're doing monthly reads and actually pull either the meter pit or get into a vault or crawl under a home in order to actually get the meter reading off of a digital dial. Probably the two hardest ones is over there at the veterans home. There's two 6-inch meters that are in the vault. The guys have to pull the manhole lids, crawl down in the vault, and those meters are old Rockwell meters, and they're so old. The screens are so worn that you can barely see the numbers, and sometimes they miss numbers, and we're going back for rereads 2 or 3 times to get them right. So I'm looking at that. We have, what I know on hand right now, we have 25 new meter installations with what is going in or currently under construction. So, and then with the meters, that we need to replace, we're right at 50. So, so I'm doing 100 meters, don't have to purchase them all, but that gives us enough to do what we currently have going in this year that will have to go into the ground, replace the mechanical meters that we have, plus give us a little bit for the shelf for any repairs that we need to make. And it also sets us up, which would be our discussion for next month, is how we want to move forward with radio reads. Summer Council knows that we have a Water Smart grant that's kind of been in limbo for well over a year now. That grant was supposed to be awarded in December of 25. They pushed that back to May of 26. DJ called them earlier this month, well, actually January, and they have decided to move that to December of 2026. So that grant has become the forever award or the never award. So I think it's time that we start really looking forward. So next month, I plan on bringing you a 5-year plan for public works for our operations. So my RFP is going to do 2 options. One option will be a drive-by AMI with the ability to convert to cellular at a future date. And option 2 would be a full cellular up front. I'll get much more in detail on that during my 5-year operational plan report next month. The next RFP that's going on right now project is our MMOF Sherman intersection project. This project is actually moving along quite nicely with the change of personnel. We had our monthly update meeting with CDOT and JLK this morning. They're still on schedule to submit the field office review or 90% plans to CDOT at the end of this month. We are having a meeting next week to finalize the temporary construction easements and get those over to CDOT for final approval. These will need to go out to the residents whose property will require temporary work outside of the existing right-of-way. We have to purchase temporary construction easements for all those properties. There's 18 of them. In order to get the work, this is anything that we have to go outside of the right-of-way to do any type of construction. It's all temporary. We will restore the site during the construction once it's done. So it's only a purchase for temporary easements and not actual right-of-way. But CDOT still requires us to purchase those easements. So the schedule as it stands right now is CDOT's review and approvals will take between now and February through April. We will bid for 3 weeks in April. Bid opening will happen either late April, early May, and it's all kind of contingent upon when we get final approval through CDOT. We are hoping to be able to award in May with construction to begin as early as August of 26 and with construction to conclude early summer of 2027. So, which is right in with our grant award and the deadline for the grant. So we are well within our schedules. The other one that we have out right now is our wastewater treatment plant, which is our big project. This project is currently out to bid. We've held 2 tours right now. The first, we had 35 participants on our tour. And then the second happened last week and we had 15 new respondents. So far, the response on this project has been outstanding. It's better than what I expected. For those who may not know, this project has been in the works since 2020 when the city received a non-compliance letter for effluent metals violations. In 2022, an enforcement action was issued against the city with a penalty fee of $80,000 and an agreement was reached called a consent on compliance order, a COC, that requires us to build a plant adequately to treat the metals requirements in our current discharge permit. And unfortunately, good lagoon systems, which we have two, simply cannot treat metals and also have issues with treating ammonia in the colder climates, so during the winters. So our option is to build a mechanical plant that will sustain us in the future. So at the time of the COC, our estimated cost to build the plant was 30 million, which we secured funding through the USDA in a combination of 2 loans and a grant. And the design costs were funded through a DOLA mineral and energy grant with a 50% city match from our reserves. Our current construction estimate places the cost now at between 42 and 48 million. So the city staff, and that's what you approved, to allow DJ to submit that DOLA grant for seeking additional funding sources. And we're, as Gigi says, we're trying to look for more grants. So we're still looking for grants. We wanted to stop the project, but our COC kind of forces us to, even with our shortfall in revenue, we have to move forward. So the way it looks right now, our current schedule is the question period for bids closes at the end of the month on February 27th. The bids are due and opened on March 12th. Depending on the bid pricing, an award may come at the first meeting in April, but most likely future meetings with CDPHE will take place to discuss the project phasing to establish the project within the funds that are already secured. For council's information, a law was passed this last year that allows CDPHE to extend the compliance schedules to fit the hardships their orders have placed on communities such as ours. Unfortunately, since our consent order came before the law was placed, we're in a gray area. Gigi and I met with the governor's office last week, and nobody knows exactly how to answer the question if we fit the law or we don't. So, and basically what the law says is if you have a compliance order after the law was issued, that CDPHE now has the ability, and say they give you 5 years to meet your consent, they can now extend that for 10, 15, or 20 years, or they can say, like for us, we have 2 plants. Part of our project is we have to build a mechanical plant. That is a given. But also part of that, we have to decommission the other 2 plants. So phase 1 might be to do the force main and build the plant. But then they can issue a compliance order for the next 10 or 15 years to decommission Henderson and the existing veterans plant. So we're not having to eat those costs up front. And to decommission those plants at the original design was to the tune of about $12 million. So there's our shortfall. So, I mean, we still have to do it, but we don't have to eat it right up. So those are some of the tools that we're looking at trying to do. And so with that, I will stop talking and see if you guys have any questions.
One question on the CDOT sidewalk, all that stuff, because there was a ditch that ran all the way into.
Yep, the one that Good Speed covered up. Yep, we have to include that in our design. So we have to extend our design far enough to make sure that no downstream users will be negatively affected. So that survey has been done. They have done enough environmental research to prove that that ditch has not been active for a number of years. There are no official users of that ditch. So in essence, it is simply a runoff ditch for CDOT use. So for our project, the only thing we may have to do is extend a culvert from the other side of Sherman, so on the west side of Sherman, all the way through the gravel to where it opens back up. And that would be the extent of what we'd have to do. So.
And then on the wastewater treatment, I'm trying to figure out how to say this where it sounds professional, cause I just wanna blow it out there, but it won't sound good. Based on the fact that the CDPHE could never give us a solid answer in the beginning. Got all that and all their numbers were not right.
Right.
Can't you hold that over? Can we not hold that as like, hey guys, this is what was going on. Let's just play the game and you give us this grace period.
We have tried that unsuccessfully. So we are still working, so our official permit ended in 2020. So we have been working on an administrative permit since 2020. Our last letter, which was issued last year, they won't even look at our effluent limits until later part of this year. So we are actually designing a plant under an educated guess of element engineering. We will not have our actual effluent limits until we're 2 years into construction under best case scenario. Yeah, that's the reality.
We could be building behind the 8 ball.
There is as sad as this statement is going to come out, there is a very real possibility that we could build a plant and have a change necessary in the treatment process to stay in compliance before the plant is even operational.
Can't we just create?
So I remember there was a discussion that Alamosa was. So
Alamosa was going to sue based on their permit requirements.
and there was also the discussion that the plant that we were looking for to build could even treat some of the mess.
So we sent that back and they have rescinded those preliminary effluent limits, and that's what issued the newest letter saying they will get back to us in 2026. Yes, their first one, they had metal limits that are not testable with today's testing equipment. So yes, they tried to throw metal limits on us. So that are not testable at this time under current technology. So somebody was sit down on paper and threw some weird calculations on it. So I'm hoping things will go well. We have chosen Aeromod because it's a good, I won't say it's a new technology, but it is a newer technology that it should meet every metals requirement that they could throw at us. We have a very robust tertiary, our third treatment process to remove the metals. So I really do not foresee that previous statement of having a change order to get the plant compliant being very realistic. I really doubt that being a possibility, but yes, we are. I mean, the truth is we are operating under an educated guess from our engineers because CDPHE has not issued our definitely limits. So, yeah. But I trust our engineers. They are working, they have worked with the engineering side of CDPHE, and both CDPHE's engineers and our engineers are in agreement, but they are not the ones that issue permits. The permit sections issue permits. And unfortunately, there are three very distinct, do not communicate with one another divisions at CDPHE. There is permits, engineering, and enforcement, and those three entities not speak to one another. So, which is another discussion we had at the governor's office. So. We will get through this. I probably will not have any hair by the time we get through, but we will get through it.
Oh, it'll be great.
It will definitely. So, any questions?
Thank you, Rob.
You're very welcome.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
PD. Chief, dude, that one's gonna be a hard one to follow.
I thought he was just gonna walk out that.
Well, good evening. Really what I want to do is just kind of give you a 30-day update. Obviously, it's actually 30 days to the day. I gave 60-day, 60, 70-day work plan, and we've completed 30 of that. Part of that first part is to interview and talk with everybody in the police department, from the officers to the supervisors, all the way down to our professional staff. Doing one-on-ones, getting an insight as to, the feel for the agency, where our strengths are, where some areas that we need to improve, what we're lacking, and the areas we are. Big things for me is the base of what we have here. We do have a very strong commitment to Monte Vista. The men and women that work for the organization are very committed to this community. They've grown up here. They love it, and that's why they work here. There's a lot of pride in the work that they do. They're looking for stability. They're optimistic that me being here can give that, but obviously they've been through some hard times over the last few years, and so that is probably cautionary optimistic of what we can do. There's a high workload here with and you're trying to share that amongst everyone. So to combat some of that, one of the things we will be starting is on Sunday, they will be going 12-hour shifts. That's a needs assessment. I mean, I've looked at everything, I've talked to them. Everything that they were doing is spreading out all over the place. And even on a 12-hour shift, that's putting them at those are longer hours to meet the demands of the community. But losing anything or losing one person could make it makes that put more work on everybody else. So it's not ideal, but it's the best case scenario that we're looking at right now, and the best thing that we can put in place to help them, but along with taking care of the community. Our strengths are our people. As I tell you, they're committed. They want to do their best, but they need some leadership. The strength is in teamwork. They really believe in one another, and they will get back to one another to make sure that the work gets done. There's a lot of work, and that's part of the issue, is that we have a multitude of people trying to do, most people try to juggle maybe three things. Everyone's juggling a lot more than 3 things. And when you juggle, that's the time, you've got knives and you might lose a hand. And I don't want to see us losing any hands. Focus on service. That's one of the main things I've talked about. I believe in professionalism. I believe in setting high standards. We have standards here, but I don't think they're at the level that we could get them to. And I know that everybody wants that, but they're scared of that. change challenges when I bring in change and we bring in change. It always sounds good, but it's scary. Change is hard, and so that's my job is to build that trust and get us to start making those changes and get us there. But as I said, the strength is in the department. It's in the people that we have there. There is a good foundation in this organization. There are a lot of good people and they're doing good work on a day in and day out basis with the limited resources that we do have. My goal is really just to reinforce that, set expectations, try to get those things in place, and it's really focusing on the basics, the basic works of what we can do with what we have and getting through to make sure that we're serving the community and getting those things done. As we look at things, that's where I will bring further things forward as the processes and the manpower issues and anything that might come with that, but we want to assess that. I want to assess our policies, our procedures. That's one thing I'm doing right now. Looking at where work is and what is being done, where our grants are, who has those. I mean, I will let you know, we've had some grants, and with people being gone, nobody knows where those grants are. And now it's falling back on me to try to find those, figure those out, getting with the states, trying to figure out where they are, where we are, and keeping ourselves up to date with those so we can be in compliance with those. Overall, though, I mean, I have to say my 30 days here has been a whirlwind and has went by really quick. I can't believe it's been 30 days. But this is a really good place. The community, I think the biggest shock probably for me to tell you is that everybody knows everybody. I mean, when you talk about that, my officers know everybody. And the community comes in, well, they know this person, and everybody knows pretty much what's going on around here. So there's no secrets in a small community. When I go downtown and I go out to dinner or something, I think, oh man, this is a really great place. And then you walk outside and it's a little quiet. And you're just like, and I have to tell myself, remember, you're in a small community. There's 4,200 people here, 4,500 people here. That's a difference. There's greatness to that though, because everyone pulls together and everybody works together and wants to work together. So, like you say, you can look at pictures and go, I know that person. I know that person. I think those are future things that we're going to be asking for. Hey, them, let's point them out and let's get them served. Our processes that we're looking to put in place, let's get them out and let's get them served, and let's start doing some things to try to get people to comply and do the right things. There's got to be some things that accountability. I'm big in accountability. I'm big in structure. I'm big in believing that, we can push things down, but we have to have the right structure in place. And that's one thing that we are working on as an organization, as the police department, and listening to everybody. Everybody needs that. And we can't have people doing a multitude of different things that is only going to cause, it may cost now, but it will cost more later on when something is, particularly messed up or different things. So overall assessment, great foundation, great people, and a great community. Just need a little bit more structure. And I think that structure has been here, but it's been dealt with a little bit differently on each level. And so my job isn't the past, my job is the future. My job is from January 5th forward, and that's where we're going. So I just wanted to give you a quick update on that. I know you probably get other things, but I think this is more important to let you know where we're going and the things that we're doing, and the assessment has been there. And it's a good community, and you have a great police department. Good. And we have great people though that want to do great work. So that's the one thing you should know, is that it's a good structure to come into and build from. Any questions?
Just want to say thank you for coming out and taking over for
Yeah.
the time that we've asked.
I'm telling you, there is a lot of work, and I'm a dedicated person, and we had kind of a whole department all meeting yesterday just to talk about those things. And I really appreciate the work that they're doing. They are dedicated. I get with anything, a new person comes in and just where I come from doesn't mean anything. That's what I told them. This is not about me. This is about them and this organization and this community. My resume, it means nothing. It's what we can do together. I have experiences in different things, but just like each and every one of you, you have experiences that is going to change my perspective and go, huh, I didn't think about that. And that's where everyone needs to work together, and we need to build a system that has that structure, and we can do what's best for Monte and the people that are living here along with that. My goal is really to enforce and build them up to know that we can have a good structure. I take care of them. They in return go out and take care of the community. And that's how I look at those things. I work for everybody, but I really am working for them because in return, my blessings is that they go out and take care of this community the way that, you know, my expectations and yours and this community's expectations should be. So they're committed to that. I mean, that's the one thing I can just say. All the turmoil that is probably they felt that they've been through over these couple years, and they stay strong and they're here. So that there's a lot there, and I think that's one thing you can that's the great thing that we can build on is, you know, strong people that are willing to do the job. So, any other questions? Anything?
I will tell you that I've heard from people on Adam Street how much I appreciate the officers that have been walking down the street and going into
Good.
businesses. So it's starting to show,
Yeah,
Chief. So
good. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Uh-oh.
yes, sir.
Oh, just a quick comment.
Still your glory too, buddy.
No, I hate lawyers. You know I don't like them. It's one reason they can't shut up. But I did want to chime in real quick. I appreciate the chief. So his attention to detail and his thoroughness reduces your liability, the city's liability. And in my dealings with him, I just want to thank him and acknowledge publicly his attention to knowing the law, having an interest, working with me, working with HR has been outstanding and very thorough. I appreciate that. And that's the kind of professionalism. That's one piece of the professionalism of many that he's brought to the table. And I just want to publicly say I appreciate it. And anything that reduces our liability and brings professionalism in that vein and in that spirit is a true asset to the city. And I appreciate his efforts. And I've told him that, but you know, that's where it spills over kind of to what he's doing from my side of things. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
IT.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Gonna try and keep it short and sweet, as I like to do, just try and get us out of here a little bit earlier. So this last month was hard.
Too late for that, right?
Yeah, you know, try to make it a little bit shorter at least. But this last month we had quite a bit on our plate as we're just finishing up everything from the end of last year and then all the stuff coming in at the start of this year. To start off with, we had all of our systems ordered that are up for replacement. It was just 8 laptops, so nothing too horrible, 5 of which was going up tonight to you guys. One went to our city attorney, another one went to our judge, and the last one is going to Sarah, our deputy clerk, deputy clerk. Out at Sky High, we did some sound system tests, make sure it was all good for Ag Conference. Everything went off without a hitch out there as well. We had a couple hiccups today, but it's just quick little fixes, and Ag Conference as a whole on IT standpoint was probably the easiest it's been in the 4 years I've been doing it. Also at Sky High, we did some ADA testing with the hearing devices out there, just to make sure everything was there. As we know, it's starting to become more and more of a requirement just for hearing devices for people that are hard of hearing, need a translator, or all that fun stuff. That's working within spec, and they seem happy with it too. Out at the golf course, we got the scanning locks installed, so that building is secured fully, and Jake has all the key cards of the building, besides the 2 I had to make this morning for him. Those are on Shannon's desk and should be passed out, hopefully to him by Monday. Then your guys' laptops, of course, were customized, deployed, hopefully working well for the people that have looked into them. Victor, I think you're the only one, so hopefully it's working well for you so far. And then same with the attorney's laptop, customized and deployed to him. I heard there was a little hiccup with the Castell side of things, but that got fixed up yesterday by Christian. And I do appreciate him picking up the slack with me being on an Ag Conference, so more than appreciative to the rest of my team picking up where I couldn't for the time being. And then, of course, We have the domain changes of adding the new legal department, as previously we never gave a laptop out to the city attorney, as Gene previously did not want one from what I'm aware. So with that, it just came some organizational unit changes, creating the legal department and then building the network drives in which it applies to that department. And then as well at Unita's request, we created the court network drive, which just is all for the Cassell files. So that way we can tie everything in and hopefully go paperless, as is her goal with all the court files. And then out at Sky High, we have one last issue, the UDN out there, which is our main data stack. Essentially, it's a Ubiquiti Dream Machine, and it's what essentially heads the entire network. It's what goes into the switches and just provides the network to the entire building. It allows us to control our wireless access points as well. That kept going out on us. We think what happened is the amount of brownouts that building has hit has fried the old one. We currently have the old one in our office and doing some testing on it to see if we can redeploy it elsewhere, or if it's just time to dispatch it and just get rid of it, as it's not worth the time to try and fix with how it's acting. But we have a new one out there. It took perfectly. We were able to just restore backup, and everything up there was functional with no issue. Other than that, it's just a bunch of little things throughout the month. We of course made Cassell changes, got all that fun stuff going, and just general updates and trying to stay on top of everything. But other than that, are there any questions?
Anybody?
I have to
Sure.
say, I truly appreciate us. He, like I said, he fixes things so quickly for us. And I'm probably the one that bugs him the most.
I'd say 50-50 depending on the day. But do appreciate it, Nita.
So regardless who else it is, you're still 50.
Yeah, I'm not 50%.
I mean, if I'm getting a call, I can think it's either her or Michelle.
He is on top of everything, and it's not within, I mean, he's within minutes of fixing the problem. Like I said, Brad was, we had that Cassell issue, and Brad's like, oh, don't worry about it, we had a couple weeks, and I, explained to him, I said, well, between Sarah and I, we both have this OCD thing. Yeah, we'll have it fixed within the next week. Called DOS, and he's like, oh no, this is blah, 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 and within minutes it was fixed.
Within 30 seconds, I think.
Yeah, it was, so I really appreciate our IT team, and DOS is on top of it all the time, so thank you.
I greatly appreciate it. Thank you, Nita. Well, other than that, you guys have a wonderful night, and hopefully we get out here soon. Other than that, you guys have a wonderful weekend.
Don't forget to take your old computer with you.
Sir, I'll stop by to help you guys out getting in there everything before we leave.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Dawes.
Oh.
Council committee, city commission, and council reports. Councilman Bradshaw.
Out of that conference this week, looks like Dervin's team's doing really well. Tell who they were, had their shirts on.
But you didn't have them all.
Yeah. No, that's all I got.
Mayor Pro Tem Howard.
Really had a pretty good preliminary meeting, the finance committee, and I think we have opportunities. We're pursuing that. So. Good, help the budget.
Okay, that's really good. Councilman
I'm excited for where the city's going. The city is moving forward, just like Margaret was saying, there's stuff happening in town. But not just that, with our city staff and personnel, and it's just I like to see that. There's one thing you can always count on, and that is change. So hopefully that's we are moving positively forward. So, and then pray for some moisture.
Yes. Definitely. Thank you, everybody. As Kale said, ag conference went off good. There was a lot of people out there. I'm anxious to see what the numbers are. Dervin did a great job. I had to go to that continuing education credit class. And when I walked in there were still people moving stuff out, and everything was still set up. I was in that meeting from 1 o'clock till 4:30, and when I walked back into the big room, dude, you couldn't even tell that anything had happened in there. That's how efficient it was. I was like, wow. So, again, positive stuff. Chief, thank you. Brad, thank you. And, again, if you guys see something, say something. We gotta help the chief out and his team. And I know a lot of people don't say anything, but I say stuff a lot. And I feel like I am overboard, but it's more so, as long as it's recorded, they have an idea. So with that, we will recess this meeting until February 19th at 6 p.m. here in council chambers. Thank you for being here. Chief, I want to ask you some questions before you take off.
And Chief, can I just have the words of people?
You get some kid sleep.
But